"You're not welcome this Easter," said my mom. "All right," I said coolly, pulling out my phone, "but don't expect that $9,800 anymore." And with a few taps, I started shutting off the electricity, water, and internet at their place. "Don't come in." That was it. Those were the first words out of her mouth when she opened the door. No hug, no warmth, not even a fake smile or a soft, "Happy Easter, honey." Just those cold, clipped words that hit me harder than I expected. I stood there like an idiot on the front porch, holding a bottle of wine in one hand and a basket full of homemade chocolate eggs in the other. I'd even put on the pale blue shirt she used to say made my eyes stand out. Used to say with pride. Remember that? Yeah, not today. She wouldn't even look me in the eye. "What?" I blinked at her. "You're joking, right?" She glanced behind her, then stepped out and carefully pulled the door almost shut behind her, leaving only a tiny gap. Like I was dangerous or something. "It's better if you don't come inside today," she murmured, and just like that, the air around me felt like it dropped 10 degrees. "I drove 3 hours to get here," I reminded her. "I know," she said quietly, barely louder than before. "But things are a little tense right now." "Tense?" She hesitated, then added, "Chloe said she wouldn't come if you showed up." Of course, Chloe, I should have guessed. This had her fingerprints all over it. It always did. From inside, I heard someone laughing, glasses clinked together like a toast. Then came a voice. "Uncle James, I think," chuckling, "cheers to real family finally being together." And then her voice followed, Chloe, loud, syrupy sweet. "Honestly, it's just so peaceful this year. No tension, no drama." I wanted to shout, I wanted to break something, but instead I smiled. Calmly, the kind of smile that says, "You're really not ready for what's coming next." "You know what?" I said as I pulled my phone from my pocket. "Enjoy your peaceful Easter, but don't count on that $9,800 anymore." My mom's expression shifted, confused and unsteady. She blinked like she hadn't heard me right. "What money?" she asked slowly. I stared straight at her. "The power, the water, the internet, all the bills I've been covering every month to keep this place running. You said you just needed help until Dad got back on track. Well, surprise, they're all in my name, and I just shut them off." Her mouth fell open, then shut again like she was trying to process what I'd said. She went pale. "No, you didn't. Please tell me you didn't." I tilted my phone so she could see the screen. "See this app?" One tap. I pressed my thumb to it, lights out. From inside, I heard Chloe yelling. "The Wi-Fi just cut out." "What happened?" Mom lunged toward my phone, but I stepped back. "Happy Easter," I said. I turned around and walked straight to my car. No one ran after me. No one called my name. As I slid into the driver's seat, I glanced toward the house one last time. Chloe had stormed to the doorway, her face flushed red, waving her phone like a weapon. "Are you insane? We were literally about to sit down for lunch." I rolled the window down just enough to be heard. "Then maybe call your real family," I said. "See if they'll cover the bills next month." And with that, I drove away. No guilt, no hesitation. That was the moment I stopped being their on-demand utility service and became the ghost they couldn't drain anymore. For the longest time, I convinced myself I was helping, that I was the responsible one, that family meant stepping up, even when it hurt. I told myself a lot of things over the years, like the time my dad called me right in the middle of the meeting. "Power's about to be cut." He said, "Not even a hello." Again, I muttered, stepping out into the hallway. "Just for a few days," he said casually. "If you can cover it, I'll pay you back Friday." He never did, and I paid it anyway. Like always, my family has a long track record of taking and never asking. And me, I have a matching history of letting them. When Dad lost his job 3 years ago, I stepped up to handle their utility bills. When Mom wanted a cosmetic dental procedure, not medically necessary, but something that made her self-conscious, I paid for it. When Chloe couldn't renew her car lease, I co-signed for the new one and covered the first 6 months of payments. At first, it felt good. I was the reliable one, the one who had his life together. But slowly, that admiration they once showed started to fade, until it twisted into expectation. Then it turned into entitlement, and eventually, contempt. "You're so lucky you don't have kids," Chloe would say at dinner, swirling her wine. "All your money's just yours. Must be nice." "You mean the money I used to cover your bills?" I shot back once. "Oh, come on," she scoffed. "Don't act like it's some big sacrifice. You like having control." Mom jumped in, trying to smooth it over. She didn't mean it like that. But Chloe looked right at me and smirked. Actually, I did. You think we owe you something because you cover a few bills? A few bills. Let's break that down, shall we? Water, $1.83 every month. Electricity, $2.10. Internet, $1.89. Throw in streaming services, phone plans, the occasional Amazon box showing up with someone else's name. And I stopped keeping track. I finally checked my bank app last month and nearly dropped my phone when I saw the total, $9,800 in the past year alone. And still in their eyes, I was just a moody, stingy brother who never smiled in pictures. But the worst part? I wasn't even shocked anymore. Just a few weeks ago, I overheard something I wasn't supposed to. I stopped by unannounced to drop off groceries, and I heard them laughing in the kitchen. "He's so uptight," Chloe once said, her voice drifting lazily from the kitchen. "You think just paying a few bills made him king of the world," my mom added with a laugh. "He's probably just lonely," my dad chimed in like that excused anything. They went on like I wasn't real. "He works too much," one of them muttered. "All that money, and no one to spend it on. At least he's useful for something," Chloe finished with a smirk. Then she said something that really stuck. "I'd cry if I had to pay my own internet." And they all laughed loud, carefree. I stood frozen outside the door, grocery bags hanging off both arms. I'd brought fresh fruit, eggs, and enough coffee pods to fill their drawer for a month. But none of them saw me. None of them noticed. I turned around and walked away without making a sound. That night, I canceled the auto pay on their Netflix and Disney Plus, quiet protest. The next day, Chloe texted, "Did the Wi-Fi glitch or did you forget to pay again?" I didn't answer. I didn't even flinch. But that wasn't the breaking point. Not really. That came 2 months earlier when I logged into my bank app to transfer money and saw a string of Apple Pay purchases that didn't belong to me. A brand new MacBook, a booking for some overpriced wellness retreat, subscription charges I didn't recognize, designer items, all tied to the credit card I'd once given mom, just in case. I called her instantly. "Did you buy a MacBook?" She didn't even lie. Oh, that was for Chloe. She needed one for work. And a retreat. She's been having a hard time lately, Mom said softly. Crying almost every night, you know? Crying with my money. When she sensed I wasn't speaking, she tried to smooth it over. "You make more than the rest of us combined," she murmured. "It's not like you can't afford it." I didn't argue, I didn't yell, I just hung up. And for days, I wrestled with it. Should I confront them all? Demand they pay me back? Cut them off completely? But then I remembered something Chloe had said at Thanksgiving. "We all play our roles," she said, lifting a glass of wine with a smirk. "Mine is being fabulous. Yours is paying for the turkey." Laughter. Everyone found it hilarious. I forced a grin and swallow my pride like it was pumpkin pie. But now, even thinking about a turkey made my stomach turn. Easter was supposed to be the one time of year where we pretended to be a real family. I bought presents for the kids, cleared my calendar, even made a brunch reservation at their favorite spot. And a week before, I got a message from Mom. "Hey, sweetie, can you make sure the utilities are all squared away before the weekend? Chloe's doing the egg hunt at the house." I didn't reply, but I paid $385 to make sure their lights stayed on. Not a single thank you. And then Easter came. I showed up with wine and handmade chocolates, and they slammed the door in my face. "You're not welcome this Easter," my mom said, calm, firm. From inside, Chloe made sure I heard her voice loud and clear. "Honestly, it just feels lighter without all the moodiness. Let's keep it fun this year." They want a light? I gave them darkness, literal darkness. I walked back to my car, opened the app, and with a few taps, I killed the power, water, and internet. Then I sat there, watching the house, one by one. The porch lights blinked out, the sprinklers froze. 5 minutes later, Chloe stormed out like a tornado, waving her phone like it was on fire. "What did you do?" she screamed. I rolled down the window, just enough to speak. "Enjoy Easter," I said, "the way you wanted, without me." Then I drove away, and for the first time, I felt something close to peace because sometimes healing doesn't come from fixing things. It comes from walking away. I hadn't even made it halfway home before the call started. First Mom, then Dad, then Chloe. One after another, again. My phone buzzed so much it nearly vibrated off the passenger seat. I didn't answer a single one. Until one text from Dad popped up and made me laugh out loud. "You're being dramatic. Come back and fix this." Fix this? What? The water? The internet? Their illusion of what family looks like. No thanks. 2 hours later, they showed up at my place. I heard the knock but didn't move. Let them wait. Let them feel something, anything, for once. Then came the shouting. You're seriously going to ignore your own mother on Easter? Chloe's voice rang out. Open this door right now, or we're calling the police. She kept going, this is abuse. That was when I opened the door. Right as she raised her fist to bang again, she stumbled forward, caught off guard. Come in, I said coldly. But if anyone starts yelling, I'll call the cops myself. They flooded in like a thunderstorm, Mom sobbing, Dad pacing, Chloe screaming. You think this is funny? She shouted. We had guests over, kids. Do you know how hard it is to explain to a 5-year-old why the toilet won't flush? I sat down calmly. Yeah, tell them their aunt and uncle expected me to cover everything like always. Silence. Total, choking silence. Mom gasped. Chloe blinked in disbelief. Dad clenched his jaw. How dare you speak to your family like that? My mom snapped. Family, I echoed, raising an eyebrow. The same people who told me not to come because I ruined the vibe? The ones who laughed behind my back about how useful I am? The ones who spend my money like it's a bottomless bank account? Dad took a step forward. You're overreacting. I shook my head. No, I'm done reacting. I stood up. I'm acting now. Chloe crossed her arms, still smug. You think this gives you power? Cutting off utilities to prove a point. No, I said simply. It gives me freedom. She scoffed. You're being ridiculous. You always want to be the martyr. You expect applause for paying a few bills? A few bills. I snapped. Let's talk about the $9,800 I paid last year. The heating, your therapy sessions, your new iPhone, that Paris business trip. You mean the one that was actually a week at a spa in Palm Springs? Her face drained of color. You went through my stuff? She stammered. You charged it to the credit card, I said flatly. The one in my name, I forget the statements. Genius. Dad tried to shift the conversation. All right, we've made some mistakes, clearly. Mistakes? I cut in. Dad, you told me I didn't belong at the table. You said Chloe deserved help more because she has a future. You looked me in the eye and said that. He said in a quiet voice, almost like an afterthought. I was angry. No, I told him, you're just being honest. For once in your life. Mom reached toward me like her touch could erase everything that had happened. Sweetheart, please. We're still family. Can't we just start over? Undo all this? My voice was cold, flat, no. Because you didn't just shut me out this Easter. You've been shutting me out for years. You've always been fine taking, needing, expecting, but the second I put up a boundary, I'd become the villain in your story. Chloe had been pacing like a caged animal. Now she stood perfectly still, trembling, her face tight with quiet rage. You'll regret this, she hissed. You think cutting us off is going to heal you? You'll end up completely alone. Good, I said. I'd rather be alone than be drained dry by people who smile to my face and mock me the second I turn around. The room fell silent. Thick, electric silence that hummed in my ears. Then I stood calm, clear. Here's how this is going to go. You'll figure out how to pay for your own comfort. Utilities? Not my problem anymore. The car? You've got 30 days to transfer the lease off my name. Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime. I'll be locking all of it down if I see one login from your IP. It's gone forever. Dad opened his mouth, already in protest. You wouldn't. Try me, I said. And Mom, don't you ever pull that but you're our son card again. Because sons deserve love, not invoices. She started crying. Dad looked at the floor. Chloe? She spun on her heel and stormed out, slamming the door so hard it shook the wall and knocked a frame sideways. I didn't flinch, didn't chase, didn't try to fix it this time. For once in my life, I didn't feel the need to make it better. I walked to the door, closed it behind them, locked it, and let out a breath that felt like it came from somewhere years deep. The war was over, and I had won. What followed was the most surreal silence I'd ever known. No texts, no calls, no sudden drop-ins. It was as if I'd been erased from their world, and I loved it. For the first time in forever, I didn't wake up with that anxious weight in my chest. That little voice whispering, what will they need from you today? No more opening my bank app to see what emergency I was expected to fix this time. No more group chats filled with memes that conveniently ignored anything I wrote. No more Christmases where I played Santa and got socks in return. I was free. And the quiet? The quiet was divine. I slept deeply, ate meals I actually enjoyed, started doing things just because they made me happy. I found a secondhand guitar on Craigslist and taught myself a few chords. Reached out to old college friends I hadn't seen in years. Signed up for a photography class, something I'd always wanted to do, but never had the time or space or energy for. Every cent I earned went to my life, my rent, my groceries, my future. At first it felt selfish, then it started to feel fair. Eventually it just felt right. About a week later, Chloe had her little meltdown online. Black screen, white text, long-winded story post on Instagram. One of those classic passive-aggressive guilt trips. Some people abandon you when you need them most, but God sees everything, and karma is real. I didn't respond, just took a screenshot and laughed. A few days after that, Dad called. I watched the phone light up. 5 rings, then voicemail. Hey, your mom's upset. Chloe's thinking of selling her car. I don't know why you're doing this, but it's gone too far. We're still family, call us. I didn't call. I sent Chloe the lease transfer paperwork instead, gave her a deadline. 14 days, subject line. You're welcome. Then came something I didn't expect. A message from Kelly, my cousin's wife. She'd been there on Easter, quiet in the background while Chloe screamed and Mom clutched her pearls like I committed murder. She messaged me late one night. I know this might be weird, but I just wanted to say thank you. I've never seen anyone in this family stand up for themselves like that. It really opened my eyes. You didn't deserve what they did. I hope you're okay. I just sat there, staring at her words. Someone saw it. Someone finally saw me. I wrote back. I'm better than okay, for the first time in a long time. But peace in this family never lasts. 2 weeks later, I came home to find a letter taped to my door. No name, no return address. Inside was a handwritten note from Mom. The first line, we raised you better than this. The last, you'll always be our son, even if you've forgotten what that means. I folded the letter neatly in half, tossed it into the trash, and went out for tacos. Because here's the truth they'll never grasp. I didn't forget what family means. They never actually knew. They thought love meant control, that money bought obedience, that silence was consent, that bleeding yourself dry was just proof of loyalty. But me? I finally knew better. Now when I walk into my place, the silence isn't heavy anymore. It's chosen. I'll light a candle, cue up some music, sit by the window, and just breathe. No one's waiting for me to fail. No one's texting with a new emergency or asking for a quick transfer. And for once, I don't feel like some last-minute stand-in for the people I used to call family. I feel like the lead in my own story. And the craziest part? The world didn't fall apart. When I finally said I was done, nothing exploded, no thunder, no divine punishment, no cinematic regret, just silence and freedom. And for someone like me, someone who spent most of his life playing the role of the dependable son, that quiet, it was everything, not empty, not lonely, just still. The kind of stillness that makes room for your own voice to crawl back in after years of being drowned out. Because for the longest time, I couldn't even hear myself anymore. I'd wake up already planning how to put out fires that weren't mine. Mom needed a few hundred for a gas bill that wasn't usually that high. Chloe had a concert, but her account got flagged. Dad's credit was in danger again unless I bailed him out. And every single time I said yes, something inside me got smaller. It wasn't like they begged, they just assumed. They didn't thank me, they joked about it later. I wasn't their son, I was their lifeline. And I let it happen, because back then I thought love was supposed to hurt. I thought being needed meant I mattered. But it doesn't. Being someone's backup generator isn't the same thing as being loved. Took one slam door and a shut-off utility to finally figure that out. After Easter, everything went quiet. No more threats. No more emotional booby traps wrapped in apologies. It was like I'd vanished and they were just too polite to hold a funeral. But being a ghost gave me the clearest view I've ever had of what my life actually looked like. I started asking questions nobody ever let me ask before. What do I want? Who am I if I'm not their emergency fund? What happens if I stop playing savior? And what I found was breath, room, joy. I learned to cook things that weren't just cereal or stress snacks. I found a weekend jam session in town and started playing again. I wrote poems, short stories. This turned out underneath all that guilt and duty, there was still a person, and a few weeks later, that person walked into a bookstore and ran into someone from the past, Samantha. She looked different than I remembered, softer somehow, happier. We grabbed coffee and started catching up. And then, somewhere between old memories and dumb jokes, she asked, "So are you still close with your family?" I hesitated, took a breath. Then I said it, really said it. No flinch, no shame, no, I cut them off. She didn't flinch either, just smiled. Good. I laughed. Wasn't the response I expected. Most people act like I just confessed to kicking puppies, but she just shrugged. Most people have no clue what it's like to be the family's permanent punching bag. We talked for hours, boundaries, healing, choosing yourself without guilt. That night, walking home, I realized something big. I wasn't shattered anymore. I was rebuilding without them, and that was okay. Days passed, then weeks. I started noticing the little shifts. My heart didn't race when my phone buzzed. I wasn't scared of checking my bank account. I stopped hate watching Chloe's Instagram stories, waiting for the next jab. And one random afternoon, someone sent me a stupid meme, and I laughed. I mean, really laughed. And it hit me. Holy hell, I'm actually happy. Not because something amazing happened, but because nothing was draining me anymore. Because I wasn't being used as a crutch. I was just me living, present, free. Then the twist, a voicemail from mom. Her voice was soft, trembling. Hey, sweetheart, I hope you're okay. Chloe's been having a tough time. The house feels strange without you. I know you're upset. I know we made mistakes, but you're still our son. We love you. I miss you. I listened twice. And for the first time, there were no tears, no guilt, no tug in my chest begging me to fix anything. I just felt done. Not in a cold way, in a warm, peaceful kind of way, like standing in sunlight after living in a basement. And now I get it. Saying no doesn't make you heartless. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you don't love them. And walking away from people who hurt you, even if they share your blood, isn't betrayal, it's survival. Sure, maybe at their dinner table my name's become a curse. Maybe I'm the villain in the stories they retell, the ungrateful one, the selfish, the cold. Let them. They don't get to write my ending. They're not in my life anymore. In my life. It's finally mine. So if you're reading this and you're tired of being the one who always fixes things, always forgives, always empties yourself so they can stay full, let me be the proof. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to pick yourself. And if they ever look at you and say, you're not welcome anymore, you say, good. I didn't come here to be welcome. I came here to stop bleeding. Then you stand up, head high, walk out the door, and you don't look back. Because peace isn't something they hand you. It's something you take back when you finally say, enough.